Hi, everyone, and thank you for attending my session. It's great to be here at the GatherVerse EU Summit. Of course, I'm here today to talk about security from abuse or harassment within the Metaverse, especially within social VR. But before I get started, I just want to show my appreciation to all of the organizers, including Christopher, Joanne, Isabel, and probably many others. And just to thank you for everything you do to give us a platform for sharing our experiences and insights. So I hope to see many of you during the event. Let's get started. As promised, I'll be talking about security within the Metaverse or social VR, introducing a bit of the history, some latest developments, and also a number of problems that are not on the surface easy to solve. And they're not easy to solve because it throws some of our core values into conflict. And before we can move forward meaningfully, we need to find ways to resolve those. So I want to begin by talking about something that happened quite lately. And that is within Rec Room, they've done a number of things to make it more inclusive and accepting of people. So this includes head coverings, culturally significant ones that are available for free. They have pride badges that allow you to represent your sexual identity, and also profile pronouns. Like, of course, before you could have done it in parentheses, but now it is an official part of creating your profile. Being within GatherVerse, which is a community that highly values acceptance and inclusivity, we can look at these developments and agree that this is a positive thing. But this platform has been out for a number of years, and we should be asking ourselves, why now? Why is now the moment when we choose to be more inclusive? Perhaps some of us think it should have happened earlier. So why didn't we do this sooner or at the beginning? What might happen now that we've become more inclusive, that we've started to have new representations, and what do we want to prevent from happening? What response could make us regret trying to be more inclusive? Probably you have a lot of preconceptions already, but we'll address this question again towards the end. So let's go back in time about 50 years when we had something called multiuser dungeons, or MUDs. These were the earliest forms of networked experiences through games. People, through text mostly, were creating these different experiences, communicating with each other. And even in the 70s, when this was just starting, harassment immediately became an issue to the point where especially women were having to mask their gender because the men in the room, which were, I guess, the dominant group, they would make women feel uncomfortable. Their representation was stifled, and they were having a worse experience because of that. So the problems that we face now, that I'm sure everybody here is aware of, they have been continuing for almost 50 years, and we have yet to solve it definitively. In 2018, one Jessica Outlaw, who's been a very prominent figure in this type of security from abuse, did a poll of different VR users talking about how much they've experienced different kinds of harassment or hate speech. And even though these numbers don't show the majority have that experience, it is quite a lot. And now that we have millions of people in social VR, you can expect millions of people have experienced harassment or hate speech. For the news cycle and the conversation we have in the mainstream, this means whenever they're ready to make it a news story, they can reach into all these instances. And we end up with some very prominent examples. So even back in 2006 in Second Life, there was a very vicious attack against one journalist who had male appendages basically flying around and attacking her within Second Life. In 2016, I think it's the first known case of harassment within social VR. There was a groping that occurred in this archery-based game. It became a very widely shared blog. And even this year in VR chat, BBC did a big report about children who were going to strip clubs, perhaps being groomed for sexual activity, and it put VR chat in a very negative and abusive light. So if you'll allow me, I'd like to give a few analogies to explain the preconceptions that I've encountered in my conversations with people about what social VR or metaverse platforms should do, what it's like to be in them, and so forth. Some people believe that a metaverse platform should take an incredibly active role in resolving every kind of abusive or harassing behavior. Whenever a troll seeks to disrupt somebody's experience or abuse them, the metaverse platform should be called in to fix that situation, either by separating them or banning the perpetrator of harassment, whatever the case may call for. And for some people, the experience of being abused or trolled is actually like this. You're in the waters of abuse. Like, you see people harassing each other and using racial or homophobic slurs in a public setting, and it just seems like the abuse is pervasive. It's all around you. And when you call the metaverse platform for help, they do offer a few specific tools to help you stay afloat in this rough environment, but they are very non-interventional. They're not going to step in and do anything until perhaps much later, after you've reported an incident. In a final analogy, we can see the tools that the metaverse platform gives us to protect us against abusers and harassers. They can be used against us in a similar way. So you are able to block people or mute people, but they can do the same to you, which actually isn't that bad. But your means of attacking against harassers and abusers by kicking them from environments or reporting them to the platform, that can be done to you as well. And unless there's corroborating evidence or recordings, it's just your word against theirs. So very often, your harasser, they might be more familiar with the tools than you are because they serially troll people. If there is a group of people who are like-minded in their hate speech or their intolerance of other groups, they could join together to remove non-members and also report them to the platform. So someone could be unjustly banned from a platform, even though they didn't do anything apart from just be different in some way, be unlike that specific group. I should also mention here false positives, which happen when somebody who is not guilty of abuse or harassment gets punished for it anyway. And it can happen easily with automated tools. And the reason is automated tools rely on probability, which means they will most of the time be correct in detecting harassment, but some of the time they will fail. They will falsely punish somebody who actually did nothing. And many times that person is the victim. Like, the victim is just responding to abuse, but that is perceived as abuse in the end. So, wrongfully implementing these tools can lead to a lot of frustration and renewed trauma to people who did absolutely nothing wrong. This can also be because of context, so not understanding the complete situation that is right in front of them, because it is just an AI after all. When we discuss solutions, a number of paradoxes present themselves, and we're going to discuss those here. So one of the first paradoxes that I'll mention is privacy without anonymity. This means that we desire the ability to remain private in our interactions because we want to escape judgment and express ourselves freely. At the same time, we can't allow for anonymity because this means that abusers and harassers can hurt other people and get away with it. And actually, it's been found within psychology and also social gaming theories that when you allow for anonymity, you have an increasing number of harassing situations and a more toxic environment generally. Most people respond positively to somebody looking out for their best interest. At the same time, they become uncomfortable when they frame it as mass surveillance. Whether it's video or audio recording, just the fact that you're being listened to or watched can make you uncomfortable and shape your behavior in more restrictive ways. Platforms do this, though. For example, Meta Horizons will record constantly your experience within their platform, and then when you report bad activity, those previous 2 minutes of video are sent to the platform so that they can review it. This means you are being watched constantly in your behavior. At the same time, in some specific rooms, a rec room does record what is happening and will flag a specific speech. A solution that we know to be effective is having synchronous human moderation, meaning somebody is in the room constantly monitoring what is happening. It's effective because that person does understand the context and they know exactly how to respond and what to record. That said, it's a solution that does not scale. We can't have people inhabiting every room within a metaverse platform, and in the bigger platforms, this can number in the hundreds of thousands of rooms or even millions. Another paradox is that between creating an environment that is social and open and allows you to make new friends, but keeps you away from people who seek to harm you or abuse you. So this solution exists in how you curate your environments or how you encourage people to engage with your metaverse platform. It's a constant struggle between getting to know new people, but also protecting you from people who seek to harm you. Now that we've looked at these paradoxes, let's see what answers are available. And the truth is not many, because all of these things need to be negotiated, and you do need some savvy with these metaverse platforms in order to find the best path forward. One event we can learn from is what happened with VR Chat just a few short months ago, when they decided to implement easy anti-cheat to prevent specific kinds of modding within their platform. While it's true that the modding did create some problems and crash some worlds for the users, it did also have the unintended consequence of reducing accessibility, because people were modding to overcome specific disabilities at the same time. And the community responded extremely negatively by review bombing them on Steam, as you'll see in the numbers there. Suddenly, many of their users took to Steam to voice their opinion because they know at least this way they would be listened to. At the same time, within VR Chat, they do have a volunteer police service, which has been active for quite a while now. And while it isn't an official way that VR Chat seeks to moderate their platform, it's something that the community took upon themselves to do. Although the police do have some negative connotations and people feel differently about them, it's still something that happened organically. It's a grassroots effort to curb the worst types of behavior on the platform. So one thing that Rec Room did officially to promote heroics within their platform is start the League of Heroes and give everybody who is a member of Rec Room some kind of a superhero outfit and affiliation. One, for creating a sense of fun, but also it had the side effect of promoting the types of values you want within your community. So let's return to the question I asked at the beginning of why now? Why make this push towards inclusivity? And how do we prevent the worst outcomes? And there are a number of possible answers, and unless these platforms say explicitly why they did these things, we won't know for sure. But I would like to hope that they're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Maybe it's later than is ideal, but at least they're getting it done right now. And if we want to prevent the worst outcomes, we of course need to be good citizens and also focus on the community. So that is a message not only for each of us as individuals, but it's a message for the platforms as well. Do things to empower your community so people are able and empowered to make the kind of society that they would want within each of these metaverse platforms. So thank you for your time and listening, and I hope to hear many questions from you. So please reach out to me. Primarily, I'm the CTO of VEDX Solutions. I have been researching social VR for some time now, and if you want to learn more about me or reach out, I'm Lance G. Powell Jr. on Twitter, and LinkedIn. I hope to talk to you all very soon.